It's Friday, ladies and gentlemen, so you know what that means. Welcome back to the Crypto Wave Show. I'm your host, Rupert, and today I am delighted once again to be joined by my co-hosts, Egon and Sarah. How are you guys doing?
Amazing. The market is crazy right now, so really happy about this.
Yeah, doing well. I'm excited about things and TGIF.
Absolutely. And the markets, how are you feeling about the markets right now? You know, we're all, I think, investors in the crypto space. If you're interested in crypto, you're likely investing in it. How do you guys feel about the markets? Are we optimistic? Are we pessimistic? Are we looking forward to Trump? How are you guys feeling generally about the markets right now?
Yeah, I would say, you know, our top picks, Algorand, XRP, Hadira are 40% up. So can be best, you know, right now. So really excited about this future,
and that's
upcoming future. And that's recently.
Not to mention the 700% something like Hadira's already done, or the multiple hundreds of percent. I think XRP is actually one of our biggest winners. We will leave a link to our community in the description. Sarah, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling excited. I'm also feeling like, what will happen on Inauguration Day on Monday? You know, I have my reservations. I have my conspiracy theories that I won't share here. But I guess we'll see. Either, you know, it's going to be a pump or maybe it's going to be a dump. Hopefully it's going to be a Trump pump, but we'll just have to wait and see.
We're hoping for the Trump pump. I think we've seen a lot of that play out already. That is a brilliant thing to kind of bring up, is with all the hype that's kind of surrounding Trump's inauguration, what's actually going to happen? Are we going to see a dying down of that? Is it going to be one of those buy the rumors, sell the news events? I don't perhaps think so. I think actually, you know, really what happens when he takes power, takes office, we've seen all the workings that have been going on before that. He's really going to sort of do the things that he set out to do. Certainly his picks would very much suggest that. And we looked at all that last week on the Crypto Wave Show. So this show, by the way, guys, is more of a kind of talk show about the cryptocurrency space. We get into many interesting topics. We're going to be looking at a lot of interesting topics today. We're going to be taking a look at XRP and, of course, the lawsuit. We might start things off with a little bit of price action. Then we're going to be doing something really interesting, and we're going to be talking about crypto investor demographics. Now, not only is this a lot of interesting information, and I know Egon's done a hell of a lot of work on this, there's a lot we can take away from it, because one thing I think this highlights is the fact that the masses perhaps aren't here just yet. A lot of countries have an aging population. It's typically younger people that are into the crypto space. And on top of that, it's typically older people that have all the money. And I still think there's this entering into the crypto space from that demographic. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to be talking about crypto scams, what the biggest scams are right now and how you can avoid them. Then we're going to be talking about TikTok. I was shocked to find out how many monthly viewers TikTok actually has. It totally engulfs YouTube or Twitter or any of these other platforms. And there's a potential TikTok ban looming. I think, Sarah, you were saying we might get some news on that today.
Yes, at 10 a.m., there's going to be an announcement from the Supreme Court, and that's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So in a little less from an hour from now, since we're recording my time around 9 a.m. So let's see what happens. It could be banned or there could be an extension. It'll be interesting to see.
Very interesting. We'll probably get a bit of a live update on that as we're doing the show. And then we are likely going to talk about decentralized social media, or we will talk about decentralized social media. We'll talk about some of the projects that have tried and failed, and it's a very hard space to break through, but there are some real properties that Web3 bring to social media. And then we'll get into some of your questions. Last week, we gave you guys where to go to actually film a video or a voice snippet that you guys could, or we would play on the show, and we'd answer your questions live. And I don't actually know what those questions are. I know Egon's been sort of smiling and teasing me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully nothing too bad, although I'm sure you wouldn't do that to me. So let's kick things off with the XRP lawsuit. And I still can't believe this is ongoing. This is 4 years now that the SEC has been accusing Ripple, Brad, and Chris of what they've accused them of. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. And they really hindered XRP's performance in the last bull market. But what I want to do to start things off is actually talk about price action, because it's very interesting that what originally seemed like a curse being the lawsuit that took place in 2021 or 2020, going into 2021, actually might be a blessing in regards to how the XRP chart is setting up. This is a big macro wedge that ultimately I believe, and I've given price predictions of $19.27 on the back end of this pattern. And this sort of weak performance was totally due to the SEC. But this bull run, I believe, is going to be XRPs. It is running into all-time high resistance. You would expect resistance to act exactly as that. But ultimately, I do think you're going to push through it. And this pattern is also, I think, suggestive, because charts are often great indicators of what the future may hold. We looked at certain markets, oil, the crypto space, the dollar, and that gave us a good inkling that Trump was actually going to win based on how markets were positioned. So this chart is very suggestive that this lawsuit will be going away. There will be a resolve to it. And you're going to get ETFs and all these other things. You know, we got the Litecoin filing for an ETF or the 19B4 form. The kind of runnings for, or the order that the likes of James Seyfarth and Eric Balanchunas suggested ETFs were going to come was, of course, Litecoin. That's happening. HBAR, then XRP, and of course Solana, as they both got this kind of security status that was implemented on them by the former SEC, hanging over them. And there needs to be clarity on that before there's any kind of further guidance. And of course, the Solana ETFs were rejected. But this short-term pattern very much playing out. We did say you'd hit that sort of $3 mark, then likely venture to $4 and above and beyond. But you might get a bit more of a sort of retrace here. Potentially suggestive of what we were talking about there, Sarah, in regards to, are we going to get a Trump dump or a Trump pump on the 20th? You know, maybe there's going to be a bit more of a sort of pullback here that's ultimately going to eventually resolve itself and see that continuation. So let's get into the lawsuit. Let's talk perhaps about where we are. Sarah, I don't know if you want to kind of chime in on this and sort of kick this discussion off.
Sure. So from what I understand, the Securities Exchange Commission has filed an appeal against Ripple, challenging a 2023 ruling. And in that 2023 ruling, it was partially dismissed. They partially dismissed the claims against Ripple. So the claims, the original filing, the SEC alleged Ripple Labs conducted unregistered securities transactions by selling XRP without registering it as a security. Ripple argued that XRP is a cryptocurrency and not a security, functioning more like a commodity like Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're both commodities, whereas they want to say that Ripple is security. So there was a partial victory in the ruling, right? So they didn't completely, it wasn't a complete victory. And this is why it's being appealed, and it can be appealed. So the judge ruled in 2023 that XRP is not a security when sold on secondary markets like public exchanges. So that's great. The direct sale of XRP to institutional investors did violate security laws. The court ruled that XRP as a digital token is not a security. Instead, it's the way XRP is sold that determines whether it falls under security regulations. So in this new appeal, the SEC is appealing whether Ripple's XRP sales to retail investors qualify as unregistered security transaction under federal law. And so I was digging deeper, like, okay, so why are they going after the retail investors now in this appeal? So it sounds to me like they want to draw comparisons between institutional investors and retail investors. So since the original decision states that the way XRP is sold determines whether it falls under security regulations. And by putting the focus on retail investors, they could claim that the same expectations of profits, so the way that the institutional investors were expecting profits from the way XRP promotes it, that retail investors are expecting that same kind of return as the institutional investors, if that makes sense. Yeah. So they could claim that they had expectations of profits tied to Ripple's efforts in the same ways. So investors in the secondary sales should be classified as security transactions. So they want to, based on that argument from what I'm seeing. So that's kind of what I dug into about the appeal and what's happening. And then I see that the attorney for Ripple is saying that this is just a rehash of failed arguments, and he's predicting that the case will lose, especially with the momentum from the Trump administration. So I guess that would bring me to, how do we think that this could affect the price action of XRP. Could it potentially, because it seems like right now it's not, but maybe it does. I don't know. And this decision won't be until sometime later this year. And what happens if XRP is considered a security and they lose the appeal? What's that going to do to XRP? What will be the effects of it? And will that set a precedent more broadly so other cryptocurrencies can be deemed securities as well? I saw that there was a filing against Algo. There was a filing against Cardano. They were wanting to make those securities too. So it could affect the crypto market if they lose this case.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's like if that one domino falls, how many is it going to take out? You know, there's going to be a chain of things. I think it's very interesting that we have Paul Atkins, the new SEC chair. We looked yesterday, or we looked on the prior Crypto Wave show at exactly what he was saying, and he was very much saying the Howey test, which is how the SEC weigh up what isn't a security, the criteria that they look for. He very much said this is totally outdated. So I think, could XRP be classified as a security? Well, Judge Torres kind of ruled that was not the case. Is there the potential? I think it's extremely unlikely. And I think certainly the ramifications that has for tokens more broadly is that they're unlikely to be deemed so also. And from a price point of view, you know, if we look at how XRP's price is performing around all of this, despite what is bad news, actually, I think it's very suggestive that there's not going to be too much of a knock-on effect. I want to bring up what Stuart Aldaltry, you alluded to it there, had to say, who, of course, is the chief legal officer over at Ripple. Very experienced in legal matters with 35 years of experience. As expected, the SEC appeal brief is a rehash of already failed arguments and likely to be abandoned by the next administration. We'll respond formally in due time. For now, know this: the SEC lawsuit is just noise. An era of pro-innovation regulation is coming, and Ripple is thriving. We looked in one of our daily market updates at actually what the chair of the SEC had to say, Gary Gensler, about the crypto industry. You know, it's kind of one of his last interviews. He very much got clowned. The guy at the end of the interview very much said, "Oh, well, you know, you're not going to be here for very much longer." Something along those lines, kind of paraphrasing it. It's very interesting that the SEC is still waging this war. But one thing Gary said in that very short sort of clip at CNBC was, there's thousands of cryptocurrencies out there. Most of them will die because not many of them have use cases, and you want to be focused on the ones that have use cases. Why go after XRP? And remember, he knows a lot about blockchains, obviously coming from MIT, teaching blockchain. Why go after these guys specifically when there's a very clear, evident use case? The partnerships for XRP, we could do a whole show just talking about those. So I think it's very likely this gets dropped. Ripple, and I want to bring up that also, did release a fact sheet about the, what exactly has taken place. I'll just go ahead and find that, if you bear with me. Get the facts right. Ripple's fight against the SEC and anti-crypto stance. Nearly 4 years ago, the SEC filed a politically driven lawsuit against Ripple rather than faithfully applying the law. The SEC lost on all key issues, and there were some they actually won on, like you suggested, Sarah. Yet it decided to appeal to the court's appeals for the Second Circuits. If we hadn't been going under these kind of changes, this lawsuit would have likely gone on till 2026. But because of everything going on, the new administrative board, I think it's very likely that this lawsuit will get thrown out or resolved, certainly with Paul Atkins' stance towards the kind of cryptocurrency space. So what is not being appealed? The appeal does not question whether XRP itself is a security. Remember, it's talking about the sales to retail. In July 2023, the court ruled that XRP on its own is not an investment contract and therefore not a security. The SEC is not challenging this ruling. The SEC clarified in 2023 that they do not consider XRP a security. Kind of makes you think, well, what's all the fuss about, doesn't it? And the SEC attorney even acknowledged that arguing a token alone as a crypto asset security was incorrect. XRP now joining Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin, by the way, in having explicit legal clarity as a non-security. And Hedera, we could argue, what is the SEC appealing? The SEC appeal focuses on whether Ripple's own sales of XRP on crypto exchanges and other distributions like grants and charitable contributions qualify as investment contracts. Very much what you said there, Sarah. The court agreed with Ripple, ruling that these sales and distributions did not require SEC registration. It's this decision that the SEC are appealing. And then the last thing they talk about is why Ripple is cross-appealing. It's basically the legal process to do so. So I don't know if we've got anything more we want to kind of add on all of that. It seems like this is kind of a last power grab by Gensler on his way out, a last kind of dig to the crypto industry. But we know on the 20th, he's officially resigning. We also had one of their chief kind of legal guys also putting in his resignation on the 20th. A new pro-crypto regime is upon us.
I think that you're right. It's like it might be just one last dig. Let's see how we can still control the crypto market. And they're still going for it. They're trying it. And they mentioned something too, about how it'll hinder innovation if they win. And, that's not good for anything. Let's see. But I think you're right. They're like, okay, let's just see one more time.
Yeah, and you do have to wonder why they went after XRP. Probably because it's one of the larger ones. I don't think they particularly went from the low-hanging fruit. I do think some cryptos you could definitely argue perhaps do fall into a security category. Something like XRP with its utility, you would, if you were to classify XRP as a security, that usage of it being a utility really becomes hindered. So you can't help but think Gary Gensler, ex-Goldman Sachs, traditional financial guy. Well, it would make sense actually where he came from that he might try and impair what is a system that's very much disrupting the traditional financial system. And I think my honest take is that that's largely the big picture of what's been going on here for the past 4 years. And now, just like the bearable guy's been predicting, we're about to enter the castle, if that makes sense. I don't know if either of you have any more thoughts on that whole situation. Obviously, they appealed on Wednesday. It was likely. Remember, it's kind of a last dig, kind of throwing a punch at thin air because he's out on the 20th, and so is his regime largely.
Yeah, and it's waiting, right? These things can take time. So from what I read, it might not be till later in this year that we have a decision. So we'll just have to wait and see where things go. And hopefully it just keeps, I don't know, it pumps, and it makes me hesitant still, like a little bit. Like before, when there was a court case, I was like, I don't know if I really want to invest in XRP, I don't know what's going to happen. And so there's a bit of that coming over me again, like, but it definitely sounds like there's not a lot of teeth in this appeal. So business as usual, but I do have that hesitation with this appeal. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And it's kind of a bit, it's not great that the SEC has put doubt into people's minds. They've kind of turned people away from what is probably one of the most transformative cryptos that there are. And more broadly, it's really revolutionizing how how money works. I mean, the fact that they've kind of casted that doubt and that put that fear in people, obviously through this lawsuit, it's very annoying because there's a lot of other cryptos there that definitely deserve to be targeted, certainly way before XRP's even mentioned.
Yep, there's a reason for it, like you said.
I think so. I absolutely think so. But let's not get our tinfoil hats on just yet. Let's dive into something that's interesting. This is a topic we don't really see get covered, but it's very interesting. Certainly, as we're investing in this space, it might be nice to know who else is involved and what the kind of demographic of crypto investors actually is. And is there any insights that we can take out of all this? So I'm going to hand things over to Egon. I know he's done a lot of work on researching a lot of stats that you guys are going to find very interesting in regards to who's here, who's partaking in this market.
Absolutely. And we're done by making an article on our website. So allencrypto.com over here.
Go check it out, guys.
What are the users and what age they are that they're using and buying crypto? So interestingly enough, 62% of users are under 35 years old. How big is the crypto space? How many users at? So we have about 420 million worldwide people using crypto to date. So this stat was released at the 7th of January. So it's pretty accurate. And in total is about 4.2% of worldwide global population is currently using crypto. So they are owning at least $1 of crypto in some wallets, in some exchanges. So this is how massive this market has become over the years. And if we go further, we can split down a little bit of the percentage of the users. So
before we go any further, it's very important to notice that out of those 420 million, again, that can be anyone that owns $1 in crypto. You know, and on top of that, I think we even spoke about it last week. BlackRock released that report talking about how crypto is outpacing adoption of prior technologies like the internet, which we all use, and mobile phones. I think it was something like, I don't know how many years it was, maybe 12 for Bitcoin to get to 300, or crypto as a whole to get to 300 million users. It was something like 15 for the internet and something like 20 plus for mobile phones. Crypto's on this really great path of adoption at a faster rate, and it's following, in fact, accelerating or outpacing the internet and mobile phones. So if crypto is going to be as impactful as we believe it is, and those prior technologies, and it's gaining that adoption faster, I think fundamentally that's a very bullish narrative. Anyway, Egon, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, and all the technologies that we have currently, it's boosting the adoption and will boost in the future. So the adoption of the internet was very slow. It take 10 years to make it mainstream. But now that we have it, it's a base for adopting new technologies as crypto, as this newer things coming on the scene. So splitting the ownership by age group, we see, as I told before, 62% are under 25. The 35, 54 years old group, about 23%. And then we have the older generation, so the late boomers, let's say, 50%. So seeing this graph, it can give you a pretty nice overview of how this adoption is coming. So the upcoming new user base of these young people that want maybe to change their life, they see opportunities down there. So they are the fast adopters, maybe than the older generations. But what I done over here is split this first part of under 35 age group and split it how it's split by the super young people and the, let's say, more mature young group age. So we have the 18.
Yeah, I guess I'm a mature crypto investor then at this point. So
more mature crypto investor.
Before we dive down into that kind of 35 below and we look how that's segmented, I think it might be worth us just spending a little bit of time talking about the ramifications of the demographic in the cryptocurrency space right now. There are going to be people, younger people, of course, that will grow up with crypto being something that they've only ever known. In the same way, there are kids out there that have only ever known a world with mobile phones. I was lucky enough to kind of capture that, or to grow up during that transition. So I still remember when we had to go and knock on doors and things like this. The internet, of course, it was about, but I'm not that old, but it wasn't really as impactful as it is today or any stretch. There are, as we see these new generations growing up, a lot of them are going to be crypto native. And actually, given how transformative crypto is, it's not going to be alien to them. It's still a little bit alien to all of us that are slightly older. This new concept of money, finance, how things are done. A lot of people are going to be growing up with this inherently. And I think that's very interesting. After you again. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. So if we see how investing has changed over time and how easier now it's invest in something, the majority of young people went to the crypto space because it's more easier, it's newer, gives better opportunities. And so while this generation grow, we will see this change of how people will invest. And if we see the older generation that is swapping, let's say, money or assets to the younger one, because that thing will occur in our time period, I would say 10 years, and we will start to see that that monetary value passing generations, we will see this boom in the crypto investing. And there is the discussion that we're going to see some stats about how the classical financial investment is converging to the crypto investing in a certain way. And that, I think, it's very, very powerful for this space, how things will evolve.
Yeah, and that's not to mention the fact that, you know, there's also this other element to this, and that is that traditional assets are becoming tokenized. We're seeing that already from most major institutions, and that breaks down some of the barriers. You know, a lot of investors, I can't remember if it was Fidelity or who it was, but they looked at who had been the best performing investor, and it was the older guys. And when they rang a lot of them up, they found they were dead, but they still had their Fidelity accounts open. And they were just, because this is the kind of trend of markets, but actually there's a rolling over of wealth that will trickle down, and beautifully positioned is the cryptocurrency space with these younger investors. Just quickly, Egon, I've got something to bring up before you proceed. I don't know the exact percentage of wealth and how it's divided through age group, and we'll use America as a base case here, but wealth is exceptionally heavily concentrated towards people 60 years and over. And what was the percentage of people sort of 60 and over, or what did we have in regards to older people that were involved in crypto?
15%.
15%. And certainly the older you get, potentially the more money there is that needs to be unlocked from the boomers. That flow of money is still yet to sort of trickle down, certainly as time progresses, to a younger demographic that's actually going to be crypto native. So we really loved the work Egon's done on all of this. This is just something interesting. This is average net worth by age. You can see if we look at less than 25, they've not even bothered with going sort of 20 and below, or looking at, you know, people in that demographic. They've gone from 35 and below. Medium net worth is around about 39. Average net worth is around about 183,000. I'm sure some of you will be comparing yourself here. If you're in crypto, hopefully you're outperforming this. From 35 to 44, the medium net worth is about 135,000. A lot of this will be in housing, by the way. And then the average net worth is about $500,000. These are dollars. And you can see, I'm not going to read all of these, but you can see how this graph grows. The older people are, certainly that 65 to 75 is a sweet spot. That capital hasn't entered the space yet. And we can see that through some of the stats that Egon's pulling up. But anyway, Egon, I'll let you continue with some of the stats. Really interesting stuff, guys.
Yeah, and we need to also talk about how the socials are reshaping investing. So the older generation didn't have this tool that we have currently today. The YouTube, the news, and the constant influence on where to invest. So there is much more fast adoption in this new type of investments and crypto. So continue with the stats. As I was mentioning before, there is also an additional interesting stats over here. So we have the 18-24 years old group age. That is around 56.5%. Wow. It's a really big pie. And the, let's say, older, younger generation, 25, 34, it's around 43%. So you can see this pie chart, how this represents, and how this, I think, will increase over time. More and more young people, we have younger kids, and also countries that have, let's say, India and regions like this that will fastly most adopt this type of investment. So I split down here the behavior, how we are, the difference between the younger and a little bit older investors, and where they go and search for information. And this is also interesting because we have younger people that rely maybe on more TikTok stuff based. We're going to talk about TikTok later on for sure. But this is the major difference. The more mature investor, how he approaches market, and the younger one that they're going to make a lot of mistakes and going to put a lot of their money in meme coins and more risky stuff.
So you've just awoken the meme coin army there. So any hate directed towards Egon, not me or Sarah. Okay, that was him that said wasting money or whatever on meme coins.
Fighting words.
Brave words, mate. Brave words.
Yeah, and going down further, we can see also how young people invest in crypto. So it's interesting that 92%, or this is the research for 2024 that I found, use mobile apps for trading and investing. So it's quite interesting how this user try to use more the mobile phone. And what I mean by that, they are more fastly approaching things that while using a PC that you need to think about things, it's a more longer process. Using a mobile phone is very fast, it's very immediate, so they can, you know, switch on to different projects in a more easy way, in a more easy approach. While most older generation are relying on PC, on desktop in a more slowly matter and more research, better approach, let's say like this.
It's such a big number. I was surprised to see that because you know, I usually try and avoid using my phone for that. But maybe it comes from, again, this younger generation. Like I know my niece who's now in university, when she was a kid, like from a baby growing up with, you know, some kind of iPad in her hand, you know, some kind of phone in her hand. So, you know, maybe I guess to them, it's a little more intuitive than whereas me, where it was in the 90s in college, it was like, oh, okay, computers. And that's sort of how I think I learned instead of being on these devices. So it shocked me how high that number was for that demographic.
Yeah, and it's very hard to verify things on a mobile phone in a proper way. They're using a PC and going through a lot of information down there. So this is, of course, my opinion. I think also on using mobile phones and surfing the web is easy and very useful. But you know, when you sit down, have a big screen, you search for it before you take that next step. It's quite important in my opinion. So also we have an allocation of, let's say, 10% of total savings in crypto by this young population.
Yeah, I think they should have 100% in, you know. No. I'm sure, you know, I'm 100% in crypto because I think I'm young enough to take that risk. But would I advise other people do that? Well, you've got to weigh up your own situation. It's very hard to talk about how much of a percent people should be in the cryptocurrency space. And the real reason why that is because everyone's situation is very different. There's this kind of thing, certainly in the UK here all the time. I speak to lots of people that want to get on the property ladder and things like this. And they always say, the boomers stole everything from us because, you know, they got their houses at 8,000 and obviously 8,000 was worth a hell of a lot. And now it's worth $750,000. I wonder if we're on a similar trajectory with crypto. I think that's interesting. Is there this kind of, we the new boomers?
But if you see when you were 18 or 20, I was not thinking about investment at all or putting money in crypto. I will use it to have fun or spend on stupid stuff as all we have did.
How about you, Sarah? Were you thinking about investing when you were that age?
No, I was at raves partying, and that was the last thing from my mind. And I also think too that just the education system didn't teach us over here much about finances. You could take math to grade 10 and then you could just drop it. So I was like, yep, I'm done with it. So, you know, I think it also comes down to the education too. And going back to now where we have YouTube and all these social media platforms, now it's much more accessible for kids or anyone to start learning about the finance. And that's pretty much how I've learned a lot about it, because I didn't really learn too much about it in school. So, yeah. I just went on a tangent there.
Yeah, no, I saw you both shaking your heads in regards to when you were that age, you weren't thinking of investors. I'll happily be the sad weirdo that was, you know, but more back then it was more things like gold and silver and potentially some stocks. But
so you were investing at 18 years old, gold and silver, really?
Younger than 18. I've probably been investing since I was 12, 13, since I had a bit of spare money. So I've been investing in, you know, a long time now. Obviously, crypto really heavily since the dawn of 2017, and we'll get into that maybe towards the end of the video. But I've been investing for as long as I can really remember. And I think that I was just lucky to have people that influenced me that way. But the beautiful thing now is we've got kids that are raising themselves likely through the internet. And there's the negatives to that, of course. And we see a lot of that with what we're seeing around the world. Certainly in the Western world and the kind of interesting direction it's taking. But it's very interesting now how, really you summed it up perfectly there, Sarah, the kind of impactful nature of technology is apparent, and it's bringing so much good with it. Certainly the internet freeing up information. Now people can get involved in investing. It's not just sort of kept for the elite few, if you will.
Yeah. It's not a mystery as much. It's not as scary as it used to be. And I think that was it too, where there's this barrier of like, I don't know about that. Accounting numbers. And then now it's there's so many influencers and YouTubers like yourself where it makes it more accessible and not so scary for a lot of people that might have a bit of phobia about numbers and money.
Yeah. And if you see how we saw the inflation on our shoulders on what happened, I think changed a lot of the minds of people. Okay, I don't know, a pack of milk was costing, I don't know, $1, now it's $5. That changed people behavior. Okay, how can I protect myself? And make that step further to do research, find content, and start to invest. And I think that is a great thing for everyone.
That's one of the sort of things I think gets everybody attracted. It's what attracted me, hearing about my grandparents buying their house for $6,000. It's now worth $750,000. Do you guys have Freddos where you are? We've got an individual in Canada, and we've got somebody somewhere in Europe in an undisclosed location. Freddos is like a chocolate bar. It's like a small chocolate bar that we have here in the UK. I take it you guys are the way you're.
No, in Italy we don't have that kind of stuff. We only eat pizza and pasta. You know that.
Yeah, of course. And in Canada, what do you guys like to eat in Canada? What's a really enjoyable snack over there?
Lay's chips and.
Oh, come on, that's global, right?
Oh, that's right. Okay, they're Canadian though. Ketchup chips.
Yeah. But Freddos were this small chocolate bar that when I was a kid was 5 pence. I think now they're maybe even 50p, 35p, and I'm not that old. So I think that's like, when you think about that, you could have, if they'd lasted for long enough, you could have just bought a load of Freddos and sort of paced inflation into investing. Anyway, we're digressing. We're going to get back to the stats, Egon.
Yeah, a very interesting point in how frequently young users are trading and swapping and doing stuff on the apps. And it's about 66% of youngsters are trading on a weekly or monthly basis and monthly basis.
Really?
Yeah. This is a stat not updated. It's from 2023, in the middle of, by the end of the bull run. But this is blow my mind. 66% of the younger generation are weekly, monthly swapping or trading their coins in the crypto
Why?
space.
Stop doing that, guys.
Wow. Wow.
That's what you're going to stay poor doing that. You've done all the hard work and you've got the foresight, and now you want to try and think that you.
I think that is the base of how younger generations are. And if you see the span attention in socials and how the short format is reshaping how we communicate and how we do things, this is also how people can hold things like Bitcoin, like investment. So they are seeing the price drop. Oh, I will sell it. And then, oh, it's up. I'm going to reinvest again, and they're very fast approach. And they're very, they don't sit and think about what they're doing in a long term. They just want the as early returns as possible. And I think this is shown by how young people behave nowadays in everything. And I think the span of attention, how it's dropped drastically, is a big problem.
Go and meditate. Go do something useful. I mean, that's ridiculous. It honestly winds me up as somebody that has gone down a trading path, has spent hundreds of thousands of British pounds to actually learn how to trade, sort out some of the best traders I've ever met in my life. I can speak firsthand about how hard that game is. And when I hear about younger people, and maybe they know what they're doing, maybe they don't, but remember, the definition of an idiot is somebody that continues to do the same thing, getting the same undesired result, but expecting a different one. Is that Einstein that said that? Do we know who said that? Might have been Einstein.
I think it was. Yeah, I think that's an Einstein quote. Mm-hmm.
I think it was Einstein. So if you're doing that and making money, good for you. If you're doing that and losing money, stop it. Just hold the right projects at the right time in a bull market. Don't hold for a bear market. Try and get out for that. You don't need to be doing all this trading stuff. If you're making loads of money off it, great. Rupert, shut up. But if you're losing on that, stop it. And I think, Egg, on the point you mentioned there about people's attention span, and I wasn't joking when I said go and do some meditation or something to try and help you out with that. Like, Sarah, you were saying you try not to be on your phone. Is that deliberate for your own kind of mental whatever? Or is that just something you just, what's your thought there?
Well, I mean, I am a bit of a TikTok addict. I'm not going to lie, but I gotta move my body. I mean, it's winter in Canada, so it's easy just to be like, I'm going to hibernate. But yeah, it's definitely, just mentally, it's not healthy to always be in front of a device, and you have to go out and, like they say, go touch grass, go to the gym, go do some yoga, like just get out, move your body. And it's funny because I remember when I was a kid, all us kids, it'd be winter and they'd wrap us up, bundle us up. Okay, get outside, go play in the snow. And it'd be like -20. And nowadays you don't see that so much. And my guess is a lot of the kids are just inside on their devices, and that's keeping them preoccupied, and everyone's happy. And so I just think people need to, be mindful. Like, there's a world outside of your device.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I can speak personally, I try and limit screen time, which is easier said than done with the jobs that we have. But like my mum, for example, I can never get hold of her because she's always being mindful. She doesn't want to be on a phone all the time, which is like, in this world, you're kind of like, hang on, but at the same time, I can understand why she does that. And I'm sure maybe, there's definitely benefits from it. Anyway, we're continuing to digress in all sorts of avenues, but it's important. Yeah. This is really interesting information that we can derive a lot from. Certainly paints a polished picture. Yeah,
and this is the consequence of having mobile apps. So why I mentioned that important stats of the above, of the use of the mobile phone, mainly as investing and trading, is because it gives you alerts. It gives you constant, attention to things, and brings you to act or to buy or to sell. So I think this is a consequence of having our mobile phones as an extension of ourselves today. So this is why this is so high percentage for young people.
Wow.
And other interesting stat is the comparison by the investors in the ordinary stock investors and the crypto investors. So I split it up by group of age over here. So we have the under 35 years old, the 35, 44, and we have the over 54 years old. So comparing it to the stock investor, we see the youngster are investing in stocks only for 36%.
So nearly half. Wow.
While in the crypto, they are putting, as we mentioned before, 62%. If we go to the more mature 35, 54 years old, you have a 44% investment in the stock market and a 23% in the crypto market. And at the bottom of the boomers, we have the 50% in crypto and 20% in the stock investments. And so we have a representation over here. It's changing how we invest, as we mentioned before. So this is a stat that is proving it. What do you think in general what I showed to you?
Sarah?
It was eye-opening to me. I'm also wondering too, just to take it further, maybe it's for another time, but just even breaking it down by country, like what are the demographics for, say, the UK or for Canada or for the US or wherever else? I'd just be curious about that too. But overall, I was really shocked about seeing the high numbers of young people investing in crypto. But again, I think, it comes back to that whole thing where they're a savvy generation. They've grown up with this technology and it comes more natural to them, and they're seeing it on social media. And so it does make sense, but it was still shocking to me.
Yeah, I absolutely. It's just like those stats that we looked at last week about screen time, how long people spend on screens, all that sort of stuff. We like to do this really interesting sort of research and present it to you because there's lots of things we can derive from it. Very interesting. I think we already know crypto is quite a natively young thing to be into. Still, despite them being the biggest demographic, there's a low percent that they have in there. There's also, as well, if you want to use exchanges, now they do ask you, I don't know if either of you have found this, how much of your net worth you're planning on putting in crypto. Usually they want you to say under 10%. So maybe that's influencing those stats. What do you guys think? I, of course, only have 10% of my net worth in crypto, but I don't know what you guys think. I've done it. I've convicted myself there already. So I don't know. Have you guys experienced that question?
Yeah, there could be a bias there for sure. Because I know here there's only a certain amount that in the province I'm in that you can put into yearly as well. In Bitcoin, Litecoin, in Ethereum, and you can put a certain amount, like an unlimited amount, into that every year. But when it comes to all other altcoins, I think you have a $20,000 to $30,000 limit per year. So yeah. But that we're lucky here. Yeah. So, but I mean, overall, I'm sure this little province doesn't affect that number. But I know what you're saying. Where with some exchanges, it still only lets you. So absolutely, I think that could be a factor in what that percentage is. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, be truthful though with these exchanges, because at the end of the day, remember they're telling you what to do with your money. Okay, so it's very important that they do that, because you're obviously not capable of making your own decisions. So just, be truthful when it comes to exchanges. I think we should probably move on from that entire thing. But the stats as a whole were pretty eye-opening. I think, again, the majority of money is with older people. That's still to come. And as people grow up with this technology kind of native, just like mobile phones and the internet, we're only going to see it grow in terms of adoption.
We're still early. We're still early, right? That's what it shows.
Let's talk about some scams then, guys. I'm sure you're all sick of seeing those scams, the XAI scams on YouTube and stuff like this. And we wanted to do a bit of a dive on this. This is something that I spend way too much of my time trying to delete scam comments. It's important though, because people are actually falling for this. And it's heartbreaking to see some horrific stories I've heard. So we're doing our bit right now, or Egon's done a lot of the research into this, in regards to combating that, putting some information out on that. Egon, I don't know if you want to take it away in regards to what it's all about.
As in this video, for sure, there will appear some XAI coin.
The irony.
They are everywhere. Everywhere where he's talking about crypto, there is this XAI 200K, 500K, 70A, whatever. Yeah, but all of them start by XAI. But first of all, so I've done a little bit research. What is this XAI coin generally? So there are different projects based on the Elon Musk XAI project for developing AI as a building artificial intelligence. So this is what it is. And so they're using this wave of interest promoting a coin that it shows that is the Elon Musk coin. Basically, this is the surrounding on what's happening. And so there is a lot of comments of people saying, I have done 100x, I invested in X whatever coin, and XRP, Avalanche, whatever. They're mentioning real coins and also adding them to make it appeal more real. So as a user is doing that on purpose. So absolutely, guys, be extremely careful. I have dig into this, so I've tried to see these websites, what they are trying to do, and mainly this is a sort of rug pull, but not properly a rug pull. So rug pull is somebody who's pumping a coin like the Hawk 2 coin, and then they are selling as fast as possible, but this is even worse. Why? Because going to the website, so I personally checked a couple of these websites that can generally appear very professional, very modern, whatever, explaining what they're doing, this project. Also, they're putting fake teams or fake people that are running the project, including Elon Musk or people like this. And what they say, okay, this XAI coin of Elon Musk is on pre-sale. You can buy it now and gain 200%. A lot of people are done it. They're putting also comments, and the bad thing extremely bad thing, and I bring you, Rupert, into this. They're creating YouTube channels with massive subscribers into subscription in the platform, and deep faking the major crypto YouTubers. And we saw the other day, I showed to you one of YouTuber that was
I was shocked.
You know, promoting, reviewing the coin. So with these AI tools that they are investing, creating content that you might see one day, Rupert was talking about this coin, verify the channel, verify the source, be extremely careful, because there are hundreds of coins. This is one in particular that is bumping right now all over the YouTube. But what is happening here, they promoted, you go to the website and they ask you, okay, swap your USDT, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, whatever, for this coin. And even worse approaches are to connect your Ledger or your MetaMask to it.
Then they've got everything.
They've got everything. There is a lot of users that are coming now. I saw a couple of Ledger scams, because they say, I've been using Ledger for so long time, and then one day I wake up and all my funds was disappeared from my Ledger. How has this happened? There is a bug on Ledger. No. Majority of people maybe go to this website, they give access with the Ledger to swap or to do something on this scam website, and this connection remains, your keys remains to that provider. And after a couple of years, they wake up, okay, he made some gains, and then clean up your wallet. So be extremely careful. And also, I mentioned it's even extremely worse than a rug pull, because when you swap these coins, you will not get these coins. You will send a transaction to them, and you will not get any coin at all. They will show to you a message, sorry, we are temporarily overflow with requests, come back in a couple of hours and try again, until this website is on live, and it's not been banned or switched down.
It's disgusting.
And it's disgusting. And there are a lot of TikTok fake accounts that are promoting this, reviewers, as I mentioned before, comments, and this is where I want to bring you, is how avoid this and how to protect yourself in this investment. I will start for sure using some research, maybe using CoinMarketCap, going to search that coin, particular coin, not XAI, whatever, but put the full token name and see what is appearing on the website. Because on the majority, I have a picture over here of XI179A, and there is a banner that says, oh, this is not verified project. So there are multiple websites that you can search on and see if this coin is legit. So it's very, very important. Also, check the domain. Verifying the who is domain. If it's maybe it can be a very young domain, so it can bring you an alert on this, or maybe that domain was bought from a previous dead project and bring it again and say, okay, the project is back on. We are making a pre-sale of the token and whatever. Because Rupert, a lot of projects have died during the last bull run.
Yep.
They're not survived, and a lot of socials has been bought by others. Domains have been bought, maybe the tokens. They can come back again.
Phishing's evolved so much, like you're saying, and how you need to do, it sounds like multiple checks, like check the exchange, maybe check the domain, check this, check that. Like it's now with crypto and AI, it's taking phishing to a different level. It's
scary, right? It's very scary, because me and Egon watched a video the other day of a well-known Cardano YouTuber. They had basically AI generated a video of him promoting this nonsense. and somebody might stumble upon that. And how many followers did that YouTube account have? Was it 100,000 or something?
145,000.
More than us.
Do they buy them, those users?
Yes, you can do that.
So. Or they buy the accounts.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But and the thing is, what happens with that is, even though those followers aren't, real, somebody might come along and say, "Oh wow, this guy's got 140,000 followers. It's probably somebody I should listen to." And then they go and do all of this and
lose their money.
And we've heard some heartbreaking story. It really gets me angry, all of this, actually, to be fair, because it's, there's enough nonsense in the world. These people are just they're really capitalizing on people's naiveties, and we should probably continue with ways you can avoid this. Of course, verify. Yeah. Socials are a great way to verify something. Twitter or X is brilliant. If there's a product out there, go and look it up on Twitter. See what's about there. Look at the coin market cap. Look at what they're having to say. Look at the domain. I think actually as well, one thing, if people are using the internet, they should do, and I know, Egon, you very much turned me on to this massively, is have protection more generally in regards to your devices. Are there things we can suggest people do in regards to their devices? I mean, that might help them if you've got something that looks at your web searches. If you go onto this website, it's likely going to probably block you from going on it to begin with. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Egon.
Yeah, it's not a key solving problem. Having a good antivirus can help, but often databases of scammy stuff can be so rapid, so fast that even antivirus cannot, verify legitimacy of that website in a very fast-paced world in this crypto space. So having an antivirus, having tools to protect yourself, maybe while you're doing transaction, it's very, very important. So using cold wallets, Ledger, whatever, it's a very important approach to protect yourself. Don't ever give connection to Ledger for doing anything. If you really want to be scammed, transfer your funds, I don't know, your crypto or certain coin from your Ledger to an exchange and then do that. Otherwise, I will never connect my MetaMask or my Ledger to certain website that I don't know. Even maybe projects that have been dead for 1-2 years and they wake up, and that is a problem, because if I go on X, I can see verified information, but I'm not 100% sure. So use antivirus, double check the website, check the community. If there's a white paper, double check, verify the team, search them on LinkedIn. There are different ways, but need a very, very careful approach. And most of, or at the beginning, try to avoid this phantomatic 100x projects. They spam over the place, because if they are spamming and saying, this is 100x project in the comments, buy this, it's probably a scam, So see how they approach promoting this coin at first. If I open a website and they will see this token is on pre-sale, you can get 200% in a couple of hours, days, I will say it's a scam at the beginning,
Use your common sense. I think that's one of the most important things people can do. If something sounds too good to be true, usually it is. I know crypto is kind of this mythical land at the best of times. But if somebody says, if you send me this, I'll send you this back, just think, why would they do that? Okay, ignore that completely. Use your common sense. If something sounds too good to be true, don't do it. Don't get involved in this sort of stuff. Stick to well-established projects or projects you've done research on. And, there's that saying out there that the sort of fast money doesn't make money, and really apply that. I don't know, Sarah, if you've got anything you want to comment on helping people avoid getting scammed in the space.
Yeah, I mean, all those things, everything, just don't ape into something. Don't just, you click on something. It's just like, when you get text messages to your phone and it might say, click here, you're going to be refunded on this and this and that. Like, you got to double check. Mostly those are scams. And now with crypto, it's sort of the same thing. Like if it's, like you said, if it's too good to be true, it's going to be too good to be true. So, there's no get rich quick scheme. Although some people might think that in crypto, I really don't think there is. So yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad that you guys are talking about this and bringing this to people's attention, because it just happens so much and there's not nearly enough education out there as there should be.
Yeah, and it's not only YouTube. I think a couple of days ago, I got a call, a spam call that asked me to invest in a certain coin from my phone. So
Phone call. Wow, that's
a phone call, you know. And
Yeah.
I remember in the last bull run, there was calls about, do you are investing in crypto, in Bitcoin? You want 100%, 100x return, whatever. So it's not targeting also only younger people. It's getting to maybe to older people that are looking on television, I don't know, on the radio, how Bitcoin is going, that they get a call. Do you want to invest? We're going to do everything for you. And you know, it's very, very scary. And I want to close this section about this topic about why YouTube is not blocking this.
That's a question many people have asked. So I'm really glad you're covering this.
Yeah. So I dig a little bit. I went to the Google explanation on the work, how spam protection works on YouTube. The problem is that they are creating hundreds of thousands, even millions of Google accounts. And they are writing down samples of text. So how they work, this software, because they are software that automate posting based on content, based on how you rank. So it generates a list of comments that can be verified by humans, and they will accept it, and then spam all over the comments. So YouTube relies on report a spam or report, you know, something harmful, whatever. And this process takes time to YouTube to verify. Up to, they say on the website, a YouTube comment can also be reviewed after 7 days. 7 days is extremely too late. And they don't know how to approach this, because up-to-date status of Google, of YouTube algorithm, they cannot understand if this is a proper scam or a real comment, because it's very, very close to a human written thing. So if it's something AI generated, they will recognize. But if they use the base content of a normal comment, it's kind of be difficult for YouTube to understand, okay, this is a scam. So this is why they are not automating blocking these comments. And that will not happen, I think, this year. You know,
Yeah.
it's scary.
It
Very,
is.
very scary. So yeah, I will close with that, and maybe we can talk about a little bit about the TikTok situation.
What we know currently is that obviously the ban comes into effect on January the 19th, which is this Sunday. But the Biden administration has said that they won't enforce the law for 36 hours. So this puts the decision on what to do with TikTok into Trump's hands on the first day in office.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so if the Supreme Court rules today that the law bans TikTok, if the law is constitutional, then 36 hours after January 19th, the ban will go into effect. And then Trump can invoke a one-time 90-day extension to find a potential buyer. But for the 90-day extension to be allowed, there needs to be a formal buyer. There's also other scenarios, right? The Supreme Court could issue an administrative stay or an injunction to give them more time to decide what to do with TikTok. So today is, I guess we'll really see what happens. And then there's, why the ban? And originally it was put into some big bill about foreign aid. They slipped it in there, and a lot of politicians are going to, oh, yes, we're going to give foreign aid and whatever. That's a whole other thing. But they still could have amended that bill, but they didn't. So it's protecting Americans from the Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. So a foreign can't pronounce that word right now. Adversary cannot control the application in the States. And whoever the new person is that controls the app can no longer do business with that foreign adversary. So the point of the law is to force TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, to sell the US operation. And if they do not, then they would face the ban. So this is why we need a buyer of the app, and it has to be an American buyer. There is also other scenarios too. So Trump could determine that the data is secure. Americans' data is fine and it meets the security threshold. Or maybe TikTok does some restructuring, and then again, Trump can determine that it meets the threshold. But more than likely, it sounds like he's going to want an American buyer for TikTok. So yes, there's
I found the news, so it's confirmed. So this is 6 minutes ago.
Damn.
This is quite interesting.
U.S. Supreme Court upholds TikTok ban law. So what does that mean, Sarah? Does that mean
they need to sell it? They need to sell it.
Okay, so the US Supreme Court has upheld a law that bans TikTok nationwide unless its China-based parent company, ByteDance, sells the platform by this Sunday. You're likely going to have a lot of people already queuing up for that. We'll speak about that.
We have a list, and we have a really interesting list over here.
Let's speak about that in just a second. Let's continue this because this is it's only short. It's hot off the press. TikTok had challenged the law, arguing it would violate free speech protections for the app's more than 170 million users. It says it has in the US. Thank goodness they're not here in the UK. It would have been, or the UK laws on free speech are a lot more stringent. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. But that argument was rejected by the nation's highest court, meaning TikTok must now find an approved buyer for the US version of the app or face being removed from the App Store and web hosting services. However, the outgoing Biden administration and incoming Donald Trump presidency have been trying to work out a reprieve for the platform, which US authorities have warned possesses a national security risk. This is breaking news. Wow. So all the things Sarah was talking about, we've got a little bit of news on.
Crazy. What is crazy?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Okay. I guess TikTok is getting banned if they don't find a buyer right away.
Let's talk about some of the potential buyers because there's been a lot of public discussion about this. Certainly, we know Elon Musk, and I think he'll inspire others to grab a platform, a social media platform, because the power. I mean, a lot of people are saying Elon Musk is the reason Trump won the election.
Yeah,
and actually,
he's extremely interested in TikTok.
Social media is.
He understands, I think, how powerful is social media. We know how Twitter can affect things. And imagine, as we previously talked about, the percentage of the young users that are using TikTok. It's an extremely powerful tool. So, in a politic way, in a merch way of selling things, it's extremely powerful. But not only Mr. Elon Musk is here. We have the Shark Tank. The O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary, yeah.
Canadian. Yeah. I guess it's
Absolutely.
dual citizenship, or else he wouldn't be able to buy it. But
yeah.
We have Bobby Kotick, okay, Activision Blizzard CEO.
Wow.
So we have Mr. Beast coming in and also spreading from his socials about the potential buy. And then we have Oracle.
Steve Mnuchin, who is a former US Treasury Secretary. Steve Mnuchin has shown interest in acquiring TikTok and highlighted the platform's significant user base and influence. You've got Oracle and Walmart.
Yeah.
Previously, Oracle and Walmart were close to acquiring TikTok in 2020. While that deal did not materialize, their prior interest positions them in a potential bidder. And we know that it now has to be sold, right? In order for it to, I mean, what are people in the US going to do without TikTok?
Yeah, like a lot of people depend on that as their main income, right? That's
So
where are they going to dance?
let's give a poll here. Who, in your opinion, will buy TikTok?
Well, the rumor swirling on TikTok is that one of the main contenders is Project Liberty, which is backed by Kevin O'Leary. So that's what I'm getting. I'm going to go for that one. Yeah, my choice.
I'm sure there's a polka dot element to that, by the way. I'm sure me and you, Egon, covered a long time ago that Project Liberty, I remember that specifically, at one point may still be doing. We're actually going to leverage Polkadot's blockchain. We'll come on to decentralized social media in just a second. Egon, who are you going for?
Elon Musk will not acquire it. It's too much for him. So I will go with Oracle and Walmart. You know, they have a lot of capital, a lot of power. Mr. Beast is going to be funny, but I don't think he has the investment to Dubai. I don't know how much TikTok is worth. Let me check out this.
Yeah, check that out. I will say, I'll go against you there, Egon. I'll say I think Elon Musk is probably not such a bad candidate. I mean, he knows the value of these social media platforms. And certainly from Trump's point of view, who better to buy it than his kind of right-hand man at this point?
Okay, so TikTok is worth $100 billion
what
in the US. So you are saying that Elon Musk will buy this and also put at risk himself as a monopolist in the social media platforms?
That's a great point. I don't know now, because what was Twitter? 44 billion. I think Twitter was about 44 billion.
44, or something like this, around that.
Yeah, and so
it's more than double.
100 billion.
That's wild.
Who is going to? I mean, but is there a way that could the U.S. government buy TikTok?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Is there a line that gets crossed there with state and kind of? I don't know, but I mean, how many lines have been? I really don't know. Maybe Elon. But then again, Egon, that the same rule applies. 100 billion. Kevin O'Leary, Steve Mnuchin. Walmart, yeah, perhaps.
Yeah,
but have these guys got that sort of capital? Maybe it's a kind of round table of people that Elon Musk has something to do with that buy it, and maybe him indirectly.
Yeah,
Walmart is a massive company, And
yeah, Oracle. In terms of market cap, it's got to be what, a couple $100 billion, if that.
Let's check it out.
Maybe Elon Musk actually has more money than Walmart. Seriously, these companies in terms of market cap aren't certainly
market
not true.
cap of Walmart is $745 billion.
Okay, so they could do it. What about Oracle? Because I know, what's Elon Musk's net worth? 300 billion, something like that, 200 billion. You're going to be typing away furiously there. What are you looking for? And I'll look for something else.
Yeah, Oracle is wait.
Elon Musk is 434 billion.
34. Yep. So he could do it. What is that? Like less than a fourth of his wage of his net worth?
I'm not sold on the Elon purchase. But we'll see. It's also right now too. Now it's in Trump's hands. Right now he's going to have to decide on Sunday if he's going to invoke that 90-day suspension for someone to buy it. He could just be like, meh, no. But it sounds like he's supportive. He doesn't want the TikTok ban, or he could decide something else. So it's it's a lot of speculation right now. And there's something. Sorry.
No, after you.
I was going to say it's interesting because a lot of this is, Chinese spying, Chinese foreign interference, blah, blah, blah. And, and so now a lot of people on TikTok are now going to this app called Red Note, which is a fully Chinese based app. And it's like the main language is Mandarin. So it's pretty ironic that, America's like, this is Chinese owned. It can't be. And now all these TikTokers are fleeing to a fully owned Chinese app.
The irony. Mandarin's, of course, the most spoken language in the world. I can't see them banning TikTok.
I don't think so.
US. No way.
No.
So if somebody's going to buy this, it's going to be a US company.
Absolutely.
Or person or group of who it wouldn't it be it kind of gets a bit scary if Elon Musk buys it, really, because then he's got a monopoly on social media.
Yeah, he will get in trouble for monopoly for sure, and people will not like it.
No.
So I think he will step down on this one. I don't know. This is my view. Things can change.
Let's maybe talk about some stats that TikTok has going for it, because you brought these stats to me, obviously, before we did this, Egon, and I didn't quite realize just how big, because I don't really use TikTok, where obviously we have a TikTok account. Guys, go and give us a follow. I don't really use TikTok, so I had no idea how big it truly was. Having looked at these stats, I'm like, okay, is it the largest social media platform right now? It's got to be, right? TikTok.
Yeah, of course, the Meta group is bigger in this, because WhatsApp, Instagram and Facebook, for sure. So the thing is, because we are a crypto channel, so we're gonna relate that to crypto and how important TikTok is for crypto and his influence, as we mentioned before. So TikTok today globally has 1.9 billion monthly active users.
Wow.
With 60% from age of 16 to 24. So this is affecting the newer generation, in a really, really important way. If we can compare it to Twitter, it's more, reliable and more good content. It has 611 million active monthly users. So it's almost 4 times, less big than TikTok. So it's hard to ban something so big. And TikTok has one of the best AI model to suggest you things, and how it works is very, very addictive. And I think that algorithm is one of the most, valuable things that TikTok has. And it's working. It's maintaining all this user base, and it's constantly growing. And focusing more on the crypto, just to give you some stats over here, the crypto views on TikTok in 2023 was around 29 billion views.
That would have grown massively today, by the way, guys.
Yeah, we don't have updated stats right now, so I'm searching for real and confirmed stats. And the meme coin surge has almost double in this period from May 2023. And the problem is the misleading content on TikTok generally, not only crypto, is above 30%. So 30% of what you're seeing is scam, not true, or stupid stuff going on. And so going on the other side, if we compare Twitter and TikTok as a source of crypto, we see that misinformation in Twitter is around 15%, while on TikTok is double. And if we go to how crypto is influenced by these socials, we can see that on TikTok, a meme coin can pump 2-3x in one day, in literally hours, by posting a certain content on TikTok, while on, let's say, on Twitter, Elon Musk comes out with a tweet on Dogecoin and goes up, 10-20%. So it's very different approaches. As we mentioned before, and I think it's very, very interesting how I brought the stats of the younger generation and their behalf and how they trade, how they use and approach the crypto market. You see this as TikTok effect, I would say. So how TikTok is affecting this very fast and scammy approach to crypto that is not healthy for the space. And we have another stats over here. 50% of crypto TikTokers, if we can call them, videos focus on speculative and trending assets. you know. So they are not showing you how to invest, how to approach things. They're saying, buy this coin because you're going to be rich, you know, and promoting bad stuff. 50%. So if we compare to the views, there was 30 billion, 15 billion people, 50 billion views on crypto TikTok. It's scams or trending stuff that is not very valuable for your long-term investment.
I wonder if that is, you know, like just a month ago, there was a lot of people going live and they were shilling these meme coins, right? So they'd be like, you know, getting the song going, pump it up, and be like, come on, guys, come on, we can get it higher, we can get it higher. And there was so many of those videos. I'll admit, I even fell for it when I started looking into meme coins. And I was like, okay, let's see. And, you know, oh, I made some money, but then I got rug pulled. And these kids will just pump it. And then the whole feed, it goes black, right? Or, oh, I got to go for dinner, right? As soon as they make the money and they rug pull. And there was so many of these all over TikTok. So I wonder if that percentage of the scammy ones had to do with pumping these bad meme coins. I don't see as many of them anymore, so that's good. I'm hoping that, you know, TikTok, the crypto space will evolve where it's more education and people like you guys on there and less of these pump and dump scams. But yeah, that stat absolutely makes sense from what I saw. Every other live was some bros like pumping their coin.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with maybe that pump.fun application. Solana, I think that was on. And that was wild. In fact, I know they got sued today over something I can't quite remember, but that was pretty insane. What was going on over there. And actually, that's why we're coming to TikTok. It's time for us to start making a dent in that trend. Hopefully, we can take over TikTok entirely. I don't know about that, but we'll certainly... We're putting a lot of our content out there. You know, we're not that focused on, obviously we cover what's trending and relevant things in a timely manner. But of course, the information that we put is more sort of bigger term, thought out, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, these are interesting stats. Yeah.
So mainly the difference, just to summarize, from the X approach and the TikTok approach, that in the X platform, you will find people who are real investors who have experience, and their content will trend and they will appear more often because they are more reliable and people like that kind of things. Also, this Elon Musk approach of you know, promoting good stuff and everybody can post, and who is doing the right thing will get promoted is a good thing. Otherwise, TikTok is promoting whatever is trending and, you know, well done and more let's say a negative approach to this. So promote scam coins. Oh, a lot of people are viewing, they will trend more than real and good content and information.
Yep, so, where they can exploit it. People are getting in there where they can exploit it, but it looks like it's getting cleaned up. So that's the good news.
So how crypto can solve this? And I think we go to the next topic, and that is decentralized social media platform. What are they? It's a tough one. So I dig into this. I find good and bad things, to be honest. There is a lot of interesting projects. I find a couple of them. The problem about this social approach, the social, let's say, war for seeking for attention, is very tough to break in. So this is primarily the problem of decentralized social media platforms. And I will say, from what I'm seeing, because I was searching, okay, let's bring the top 10. Okay, I bring an article from 2024, the top 10 social media platform decentralized. Almost 7 of them are out of business.
Wow.
Because it's hard. It's hard to bring a user from TikTok or from YouTube or from Twitter to use these platforms.
But it's not impossible. And that's something that I think people should remember. You're taking on, it's like David versus Goliath, you know. But I remember, I think social medias that I had were things like Bebo, MSN.
Oh
Obviously,
my God.
you've got things like BBM messaging. I'm sure we all remember that. And then Facebook popped up. And then I think, it wasn't until a lot later on down the line, Instagram appeared. And then we've got, Twitter's been around for a long time. But you can break through. You need to do something different. Perhaps that element of being different comes in the form of Web3, offering people a platform where they own their data. Certainly in a world of AI, we spoke about deep fakes, where you can actually verify who you are so that people can kind of a source of truth. You can have a social media that's actually a sort of source of truth because it's ran on a blockchain. Blockchains are very good at proving truth, giving provenance to something. You own your data. You can monetize your data. You can lend your data. You can, do all of these kind of things. Also, a social media like what X is trying to become that can actually be a financial platform as well. You can facilitate all that through Web3. So I'm very much skimming over lots of different areas that are actually massive. And if we look at something like what's happening with TikTok, the banning of TikTok really comes from the getting rid of them on the App Store. You can't get rid of something on a blockchain. So there's censorship resistance. There's a fairer kind of, you could also tokenize the ownership of the platform. So I think with all of these things that decentralized social media perhaps has going for it, actually there is room for a decentralized social media to do very well. The problem, like you say, Egon, is you're very much taking on giants. Yeah, that's the hard part, isn't it? Getting the users. But I think, like I say, if you can build something that can capture that attention, music element, whatever the element might be, and Web3 can be leveraged, you could end up with a breakthrough social media. So I don't think it's quite out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah, just time. I think it'll just take time.
Yeah, I'm very disbelief in this possibility because it's very hard. I think some of the platforms that we are using will adopt blockchain and verify the content that we're posting and things like this. Is going to be a fast approach than a new platform better than these massive giants at the end of the day.
You've also got to think these giants can adopt Web3 also and actually implement those.
This is the most likely approach than the new platform that will revolutionize the space.
But we'll see. There is that element of ownership. Is Elon Musk really going to tokenize Twitter and give back to the people? I don't know. Maybe, and maybe, that might appeal to some people. So let's wrap up on the sort of social media side of things. I don't know if you guys have any sort of closing remarks, and then we'll get into a couple of live questions and we'll wrap things up.
I just think, it's just going to take some time for companies, like you said, to maybe integrate Web3 and for the general public to maybe adapt to it, or it'll be integrated and they won't even know that they're using it. So just a matter of time.
Yeah. Let's get into some of these live questions.
Side questions. So we have the first one. Let me play it to you.
My question is 2025 or going further, XLR or Chainlink?
Oh, XLR or Chainlink? Well, it's an easy one for me because I own one of them and not the other. No, I'm joking. But the reason I do own Chainlink and not XLR, both of these protocols are trying to solve interoperability. XLR is very much broadly focused on that. It is an interoperability, a Web3 interoperability platform. They are partnered with the likes of Microsoft, Deutsche Bank, MasterCard, JP Morgan's Onyx, ONYX. So they do have or are being used by institutions. They're also working with lots of projects within the kind of cryptocurrency space like Centrifuge, Circle, Ondo. I know many people talking about Ondo with the potential BlackRock links, also DeFi. So XLR is a really interesting project, and I think they're going to play a role. I just think Chainlink's a bigger deal because it's very much doing the same thing. And we spoke about some of the institutional partners that XLR has. Chainlink is literally partnered with the standard messaging system for banks, SWIFT, 11,000 banks under it, the largest clearinghouses in the world, DTCC in the US, and Euroclear in Europe. along with pretty much all major financial institutions, and Chainlink is the standard Oracle solution for basically everybody in the cryptocurrency space. So if I had to choose between one or another, not to knock XLR, it would be Chainlink, hence why I own Chainlink, not XLR. And Chainlink is my big bet. I think people aren't bullish enough on Chainlink. So I hope that answers the questions, but I love, you know where this is going. 2025, it's going to be a huge year. I think we're going to start to see a lot of those proof of concepts that Chainlink's been working on actually starting to get rolled out. But XLR is a cool project, great project, partnered with lots of people. I think there's a role for it. Also, my bet would just be on Chainlink.
And let's go with the next one.
Have you ever been scammed in crypto or know anybody that has been scammed? How did they recover?
Some of them haven't probably recovered. No, I'm joking. I mean, I'm sure some of them have. Great question. So I've never personally been scammed through phishing or something like that. I have been, I guess, getting rugged is being scammed. So I've been rugged on many NFT projects. I've been rugged on projects within the crypto space, typically smaller DeFi projects that promised a lot, and then just, through all the happenings of certainly the 2022 bear market, a lot of these projects just couldn't keep going, or there was internal issues, or somebody ran off with the funds or something like that, or whatever it was. So I guess in that sense, I have been kind of scammed or certainly taken out of some money. Some of them were rather honest in the sense that an honest scam or an honest rug, in the sense that they just couldn't continue. In 2017, I had a friend that got into crypto around about the same time as me. He got scammed on BitConnect, and I very nearly took part in it also, because he was showing me how much money he was making and this and that and the other. And I remember when it happened, and I remember the kind of disbelief. And I actually know he took money out on a credit card, never loaned money to buy crypto, guys, and put it into BitConnect. I think it was something like over £10,000. And the kind of interest on a credit card, he's kind of working out the interest he was getting from this and that. And now he certainly got himself into a mess after that. More personal experiences. In 2018, I got rugged by exchanges. So we all know about FTX. I was lucky enough not to be a part of that, although I have friends that lost 6 figures plus in it. I did get rugged by a crypto exchange years ago. Only some of you guys that have been around for a long time may know, called Cryptopia. I think I had a lot of Electronium and things like that I was trading back in or investing in back in 2017. They went down in a kind of FTX fashion. So I've never been kind of directly scammed, but I've definitely invested in projects that turned out to be scams or NFTs that turned out to be scams. I've seen lots of people get scammed. I could tell you many more stories, but they're some of the ones that stick out to me. And I've certainly been close to it, but perhaps never directly in terms of, falling something other than a bad project.
And we give you some guidance on the show how to avoid that. So
absolutely.
Remember if you want to send us your question for the next episode, you go to connect.allincrypto.com. So it's connect.allincrypto.com, and you can share your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I think we're going to wrap that up there. We've been going for about we've been going for about 1 hour and 40. The last thing for me to do is really thank my co-hosts. I want to say a massive thank you to both of you. Sarah, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. And of course, Egon, it's nice to see you. So yeah, massive thank you, guys. This was the Crypto Wave Show. We will be back next week on Friday. Every single Friday, we're going to be bringing one of these where we have a kind of talk show-esque show. And I'm going to love and leave everybody on that note. Thanks for tuning in.